doom doom doom. Doom ticky doom doom doom. Doom doom ticky doom doom doom.
The river is a healer. The river is a sage. The river knows no end. The river feels no age. The river is a leader. Every single day. It's living in the moment, and it always finds a way. Water heal my body. Water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole. The river calls me over. It's calling out my name. In the day and in the night I hear the river all the same. It's calling over. Calling out my name. Oh, just like the river do. Water heal my body. Water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole. Water heal my body. Water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole.
River is a traveler, always on the go. A river never worries.
It's fast or if it's slow. Water heal my body. Water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole. Water heal my body. Water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole. Water heal my body. Water heal my soul. When I go down to the water, by the water I feel whole.
Water heal my body. Water heal my soul.
Heal my soul. By the water I feel whole. When I go down to the water.
By the water I feel whole.
Good morning. It is so good to be back with you this morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. My name is Reverend Jamie Boyce. My pronouns are she, her, and I am thrilled to celebrate this beautiful day with you. Welcome to those gathered here at 170 Dundurn and those gathered online. We are so glad you are here. A few quick reminders as we start today's service. Please silence or place on vibrate any telephone devices you might have with you. Our activity cart is located to my right, and it's reset this week with new games, books, coloring pages to enjoy throughout the service. It is an invitation for people of all ages to move, explore, and do what feels good for your body. We also have a hearing loop system in our space for hearing assistance. Gratitude is a spiritual practice. This morning, we are grateful for those who co-create our worship experience. Music director Rachel Derry, choir director Cindy Carey, our amazing UU Hamilton choir, religious educator Tim Versteeg, our amazing tech team, Brian, Carey, Eamon Bullock, and John Elliott. Ushers today are Elizabeth Beckett and Catherine Schuler. Greeters, Julia Rock and Judy Skelton. Worship associates, Sue and Ian Johnstone, thank you for your kindness this morning and preparing our space. And of course, this morning we are grateful for our main event, our speaker, Sandy Lambert. Thank you all for your creativity, time, and dedication this morning. Yes, let's lift them up. We are a vibrant and dynamic community, and that means we have a few announcements. So these are good things to know about upcoming events in our community. Next Sunday is the annual general meeting of the congregation, which will be held here in our sanctuary. It is a multi-platform event, so you can find the link to the service online on the church calendar or join us here at 11:30. Service will go from 10:30 to 11. We'll have a break so we can eat lunch together, and then we'll reconvene for the meeting in this space. The board is also hosting a listening circle this coming Tuesday at 7 p.m. here in the sanctuary to hear feedback from the congregation in the wake of the cancellation of the 6-minute memoirs this past fall. The listening circle will also be accessible online with a Zoom link available in the congregation's calendar, and it will also be sent out in an email on Tuesday. Fun things are on the horizon, including a Good Friday games afternoon on March 29th. All ages are welcome to join our religious educator, Tim Versteeg, for games, egg decorating, and an all-around good time. Bring a nut-free snack and a game to play. The event starts at 2 p.m. in Fellowship Hall and runs till 4-ish, depending on the level of fun. In response to the latest scam last week, in which someone attempted to impersonate me and ask for gift cards, we'll be hosting a scam prevention information session led by the Senior Support Officer of the Hamilton Police Service. The session will be held after church on Sunday, April 7th in the sanctuary. Everyone is encouraged to come and learn valuable information about how to prevent becoming a victim of these insidious scams. Thank you to those who have forwarded their excellent plant-based recipes for the cook booklets we are creating. We could use a few more, especially for appetizers and desserts. Please forward them to the Climate Justice team at climate@uuhamilton.ca. They will have them available after the Earth Day service on April 14th. The Food for Thought Book Club is meeting on Monday, March 18th at 1:30 in Fellowship Hall. The book this month is Clara and the Sun by Kuzo Ishiguro, winner of the Nobel Prize. Everyone is welcome to read the book and join the book group for good conversation. Finally, the Queer Joy Potluck is today. All members of the queer community are welcome to join us in room 9 following the service for community and connection. We are a vibrant community. We light our chalice this morning, and I invite Sandy to light the chalices with us. We light our chalice this morning, welcoming ourselves and each other to this holy place of belonging for our whole selves, all of ourselves. Please join me in our unison words. May this flame be a light of friendship, of love. May it warm hearts gathered here in our sanctuary and those gathered online, and may it reach out into the world. I acknowledge that the city of Hamilton is situated upon the ancestral land of Erie, Neutral, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, Mississauga people on Treaty 3 territory. This land is covered by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, which was an agreement between the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe to share and care for the land and life of the Great Lakes. As a settler on these shores, I benefit from a legacy of colonial violence and exploitation of people in the earth. As a settler, I inhabit a living commitment to caring for creation with reverence for the interdependence of the earth and all her beings. As a settler, I am committed to encouraging communities to take actions of repair and restoration as we live the promises of our land acknowledgements. The seeds of our service this morning go back to a conversation this past fall in which Sandy and I had a stirring and important conversation reflecting on life, disability, chronic disease, congregational life, and the deep need for communities to widen the circle of inclusion by acknowledging experiences and stories of disability among us. To do this by celebrating and imagining communities of full inclusion at the intersection of disability and the multiplicity of identities we name and claim as holy and wonderful. We hope that this conversation will grow and expand, inviting all of us into our faith of love and justice. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life journey, you are welcome here. Let us open our hearts and minds as we gather for worship on this glorious day. Please rise in body and spirit for our first song, number 118, Oh, the Beauty in a Life, found in your gray hymnal, and the words will also appear behind me.
Gracious way.
Good morning. My name is Tim Versteeg. It's my great pleasure to be the religious educator at the First Unitarian Church of Hamilton. My pronouns are he, him. This morning, our story is called Just Ask, and it is written by U.S. Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor and is inspired by her own childhood diagnosis of diabetes. Type 1 diabetes, thank you. And it's illustrated by Rafael Lopez. Hi, I'm Sonia. My friends and I are planting a garden. Gardens are magical places. Thousands of plants bloom together, but every flower, every berry, and every leaf is different. Each has a different smell, different color, different shape, and different purpose. Some flowers need lots of sunlight, others thrive in the shade. Some have to be trimmed regularly, while others are better off left alone. Some trees and flowers are more fragile, and others are more hardy. Kids are all different too. Some of us are in a hurry, and others take more time. Some of us seem shy and quiet, while others are chatty and loud. Some of our differences are easy to spot. Others take longer to notice. Each of us grows in our own way. So if you're curious about other kids, just ask. Not everyone is comfortable answering questions about themselves, but I don't mind. What am I doing? Several times a day, I prick my finger to measure my sugar in my blood, and I give myself shots of medicine called insulin. I do this because I have diabetes, and my body doesn't make insulin naturally like other people's. Even though this can sometimes hurt, I gather all of my courage to do it, to be healthy. Do you ever need to take medicine to be healthy, it asks. I do. My name is Raphael, and I have asthma, which means I sometimes have trouble breathing. When that happens, I take a break and use an inhaler with medicine to make breathing easier. Quiet time helps me slow down and catch my breath. My inhaler is like a tool to help my body. And do you use a tool to help your body? I'm Anthony, and I use a wheelchair to get around. Even though I can't run with my legs, I can go super fast. How do you get from place to place? My name is Madison, and my guide dog, Lucky, helps me get places safely because I'm blind. My friend Arturo is blind too. He uses a cane to get around. Even though we can't see, we strengthen our other senses and notice lots of details others may miss. We can hear with our ears, smell with our noses, and feel with our hands. How do you use your senses? I'm VJ. I learn about the world differently because I can see, but I can't hear. I'm deaf. Most of the time, I communicate with people using my face and hands through sign language. It's cool to know another language. I also love reading and writing. What about you? I'm Bianca, and I have dyslexia, so I have to work really hard and take my time when I'm reading and writing words. Sometimes I use computer programs to help me. I love learning by doing things. My imagination is full of ideas, and I'm very good at making art from the pictures I see in my mind. Are you really good at something? I'm great at dinosaurs. I know all about them. I'm Jordan, and I have autism. Organizing and counting all my toy dinosaurs again and again makes me feel calm. My classmate Tiana also has autism, but it's different for her. She doesn't talk. But I like to talk. I especially like to talk about dinosaurs. What do you like to talk about? For me, listening comes more easily than talking, and I'm a really good listener. My name is An, and I speak with a stutter, so I sometimes repeat a word or get stuck when I try to say it. It may take me a little longer to express myself, and sometimes I'm just too shy to talk, but I understand everything that's going on. Do you ever wonder if people understand you? I do. My name is Julia. Sometimes I wiggle or make sounds that I can't control because I have Tourette's syndrome. People may look at me funny because they think I'm not paying attention or just acting out, but it's not true. I am listening. I don't always like having to explain. It frustrates me, but it helps when I tell people that it's just what my body does. Do you ever feel frustrated? My name is Manuel, and I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It is also called ADHD. I can get frustrated when I really feel the need to move around, even though I'm supposed to sit still. When my teachers and friends are patient with me, if I forget something or get distracted, I can get myself back on track. What's helpful to you? I'm Nolan. It's helpful to me when the food I eat has a clear label that says it's nut-free, because I'm allergic to nuts. They can make me so sick that I would have to go to the hospital if I ate any, even by accident. So I always tell people about my allergy and ask if any food has nut ingredients. And speaking up keeps me healthy. How do you use your voice? I love to sing and I love to talk. I love to make new friends and be included. I am Grace. I was born with Down syndrome. Kids like me with Down syndrome have an extra building block called a chromosome in our bodies, but we are all different from each other too. I can do almost anything any other kid can do, though learning new things can take some time. One way I learn is to ask questions. How do you learn? It's me, Sonia, again. I ask questions too. When something seems different or new, I just ask my parents or my teachers, and they help me to understand, especially if my friends don't feel ready to explain. This is what I've learned. Imagine if all of the plants in this garden were exactly the same. Like, what if we could only grow peas? That would mean no strawberries or cucumbers or carrots. It might also mean no trees or roses or sunflowers. Just like in our garden, all the ways we are different make our neighborhood, our whole world really, more interesting and fun. And just like all of these plants, each of us has unique powers to share with the world and make it more interesting and richer. What will you do with your powers? That's the end of our story this morning. And we are at the end of March break, so we might have a small group today, but we will be making collages in the back.
As you might know, today's service was originally scheduled for March 3rd, the Sunday closest to the March 1st commemoration of Disability Day of Mourning. This annual event recognizes the hundreds of disabled people killed by their caregivers and families each year. Our meditation this morning is a poetic reflection written for this day, a reflection of sadness, loss, love, and care. A prayer for the body-mind by Molly Brewer. Spirit of life abundant, life multifaceted and diverse, whose care cannot be withheld. Open us to the possibility that we too contain space within us for this radical abundance of care. When one of us is erased or threatened by the evil of ableism, all of us are erased and threatened. Help give no quarter to atrocity. Awaken us to our own ineradicable nature. In the places where we are worn and cracked, fill our every break and every fissure. With the binding mortar of your love in all its forms, fill us. Fill our patched souls with the fire of warmth, comfort, and justice, so that our vulnerability becomes a source of strength. Bless the endurance of our foundations, and bless too the gifts of our lives and the strength of our loving. We are more than what is done to us. We are more than what we merely survive. Bless each of us. Our hands that shake, our mouths that will not be controlled, our minds that defy explanation, our hearts that beat despite the silence. Spirit, be the call to love that we answer as we claim life abundant as our birthright. Amen, and blessed be. As is our tradition here at First Hamilton, we will light the candles of care and community, each flame a light of love among us. As you feel called, you are invited to come forward and light your candle of joy or sorrow. Now is the time in our service where we share the joys and sorrows of beloved community. A reminder that next Saturday, March 23rd at 2 p.m., we will celebrate the life of one of our beloved, Margaret McFadden, here in our sanctuary. If you would like to share a memory of Margaret, please let me know after service. Or if you would like to help with volunteer, either ushering or hospitality, we would love and welcome your gift of service in honor of Margaret. I have a sorrow from Paul Hawkins this morning. Paul shares that yesterday would have been Roy's 67th birthday. And looking at his Facebook page, his last post was on the day of the Queen's funeral. The news announced that the casket was on the move from Buckingham Palace. I said, I hope she's in it. Roy said he could imagine sensible shoes shuffling below, and I said, with the handbag hanging from the side, and they shared a laugh. What a beautiful and bittersweet memory. Paul, thank you for sharing that with us, and I will never think about the Queen's death quite the same way either. We have a joy from Pat Dickinson this morning. This is a good one. Get ready to clap or wave your hands. Congratulations to Scarlett Gillespie for being awarded one of this year's WYMCA Woman of Distinction Award. Scarlett has been a friend to our congregation in many ways, and we are pleased of her important work is being recognized. And I hear I'm being corrected. Gillespie. Gillespie, thank you. I can hear the corrections. It's good. It's good. I appreciate it. It's important. I know, we know that there are joys and sorrows among us that are too tender yet to share. We hold those in the presence of this beloved community as a reminder that we are never alone. Let us receive the gifts of the congregation in support of our ministries. For those gathered here in our sanctuary, the ushers will share the baskets coming down the aisles, and each person is invited to pass it to the person next to them. For those joining us online, if you would like to make a donation, you can go to the congregation's website and click website uuhamilton.ca and click the donate button in the upper right-hand corner of the home page. I invite you this morning to give generously, joyfully, and from the love born of this community.
Of all the feelings a young person can have, there's one that makes life seem desolate and empty and sometimes not even worth living when it's not there. And that's hope. Hope for the future, hope to be loved, hope to be heard. When children are without hope, they're robbed of one of the most defining parts of their childhood. We must never underestimate the power of giving hope to a child.
The whispers of my heart speak so softly. Are they really there if no one hears them? My voice is so small and so soft. Can you hear me? Give us hope and I'll show you the way.
Listen to the sound of my voice. Can you feel the beat of my heart?
Listen to the questions I have. Listen to me. It's all very simple to see what we need. Give us hope. My voice is calling. Can you see? Look in my eyes. Can you feel? My hand is reaching. Give us hope, and we'll show you the way. Listen to the sound of my voice calling. Can you feel the beat of my heart pounding? Listen to the questions I have. Listen to me. We are the future. Help us believe. Give us hope. My voice is calling. Can you see? Look in my eyes. Can you feel? My hand is reaching. Give us hope, and we'll show you the way. Take my hand. Now look in my eyes. Tell me what you see. Give us hope. My voice is calling. Can you see? Look in my eyes. Can you feel? My hand is reaching. Give us hope, and we'll show you the way. Give us hope. My voice is calling. Can you see? Look in my eyes. Can you feel? My hand is reaching. Give us hope, and we'll show you the way. Show you the way.
My voice is calling.
Show you the way.
My voice is calling. Show you the way.
Thank you for your generosity.
Good morning. According to the World Health Organization, 15% of the world's population identify as having some form of disability. This represents the largest minority and the only minority group that any of us can become a member of at any time. My name is Sandy Lambert. My pronouns are she, her. I am a person who lives with a physical disability. As a young adult, I thought it was only the elderly who had strokes. Not so. It was New Year's Day. I was ice skating at Princess Point. I was 28 years old and had a 10-month-old baby and a 2-year-old toddler. While skating, I suffered a stroke, a cerebral hemorrhage. It would change my life forever. I believe when this event occurred, I was in shock for a very long time about what exactly had happened and what impact it would have on my life. It was a nightmare, a most frightening time with a mix of emotions. I was hospitalized for 5 months, followed by years of rehabilitation. There were wheelchairs and quad canes, straight canes, and leg braces. I had years of learning and relearning ahead of me, with ongoing adaptation. I had to learn to dress myself, to manage in the home, to relearn how to walk, and to relearn how to drive a car, all while raising 2 children. With left-sided hemiplegia, the challenges were great. Following my stroke, I experienced all the stages of grief. Author Kevin Kling says, a loss is a loss, whether it's a heart, a limb, a promise, or a person. A loss is a loss, whether it's a heart, a limb, a promise, or a person. I'd lost function of limbs, I'd lost who I was, and I was still a young woman. I felt extremely self-conscious with an increased muscle tone and an arm and leg that embarrassed me. I felt angry. I remember when I reached the age where I had lived the same amount of years with the disability as I had without. You never forget what's been lost. When I see someone running up a flight of stairs or riding a bike, I remember how that physical action feels. I remember. I've experienced many insensitive comments over the years. Too bad you had a stroke. Too bad you can't ride a bike. Too bad you can't swim. I've been called gimp and gimpy. Someone once said to me, "This bursitis in my elbow is killing me. I know exactly how you feel." Bursitis, right? But I can, just differently. Thus, I usually refer to myself as being differently able. Quite honestly, these insensitive comments have always shocked me. Thoughtless. I'd like to add that I've never had this experience within this congregation. I made mention of referencing myself as differently able. Ableism shows up in our language all the time. About this reference, I've recently learned from a video about ableism in language that differently abled is a common disability euphemism. People feel it makes light of the hardships we face. Upon further exploration and consultation with Dr. Carrie Krogh, disability scholar, I've learned that people have the right to choose the way they wish to be referenced. Her advice was, if a person is communicating with a disabled person, it's best to ask which they prefer. So ultimately, Dr. Krogh believes that you should use the language you connect with when referencing yourself. Differently abled. I'm considering its continued use when referencing myself. It took me a long time to consider asking for help or to even accept it. I've always had a great need for independence, and somehow it felt like asking for help made me appear incapable and dependent. I'm now totally open to accepting help. In fact, I'll often ask for it. My hope is that if I say no thank you, that'll be accepted. No, I'm not stubborn. I need the opportunity to try it on my own, for that's how I've grown. I've learned there's a difference between being independent and learning that accepting help can be okay and often in my favor. In my opinion, acquiring a disability is not a life sentence for being denied the opportunity to try anything within reason. It's so unfair to assume that because someone has a disability, they are not capable. Killarney Provincial Park is a wilderness park, a place dear to my heart. I have camped, visited, and yurted there for over 30 years. I've taken many risks in my attempts to be as differently abled as I could. I have successfully kayaked in a small inlet, having had my non-functional hand duct taped to the paddle, allowing my right arm to do the work. Duct tape, it's a woman's tool. I've hiked, swam, albeit used a noodle, and I've sketched and painted in this park. I have wonderful memories. It's a rare opportunity that as a disabled person, you have the chance to live on the edge. That a friend will gift you with a trust that is needed to allow you to explore an experience that is typically an able-bodied experience. For my 60th birthday, my best friend gifted me with a weekend in a yurt and snowshoeing in Killarney. Oh, geez, okay, cool here. Snowshoeing post-stroke. It was exhilarating. 2 years later, we did it again. Long story short, I had to be rescued on this trip in the backwoods approaching dusk. Now, I'm not a thrill seeker or an adrenaline junkie, and the experience frightened us both, but no one got hurt, and I have to say these were the best birthdays of my life to date. They were brilliant. I am forever grateful to this friend for trusting me and allowing me this experience. When I had my stroke, I didn't have the time to explore disability justice, inclusivity, ableism, or disability rights. I had rights. My life revolved around rehabilitation and raising my 2 children. I now know what these words mean, and with my understanding of our faith and principles, I know that every person is inherently worthy of dignity, and relationships require justice, equity, and compassion. It has not always been an easy journey. Many of my physiotherapists and doctors have jokingly given me a poster child status, for which I'm secretly very proud. I don't think I have a Pollyanna personality, And I believe I decided a long time ago to make peace with living with a disability. Acceptance takes a long time. I've done the best I could do to have the richest life possible, and I do. I'm a proud mom and grandmother. I have an art practice that brings me immense satisfaction. I travel, often solo, and I'm rich in friendships. A quote by the poet Mary Oliver states, "It's not the weight, it's how we carry it." To end, in her grade 4 class, my 9-year-old granddaughter had to write something cool about her family. She wrote about her dad, her mom, and her sister. And then she wrote, "My grandma can only use one arm, but she's alive, and she can still do a lot of things. It's my wish that with my example in how I've dealt with my limitations, my grandchildren's approach to the disabled will be shaped. This is the legacy I hope I'm leaving for them." Thank you.
Let's honor Sandy with a song that she chose that's close to her heart. 1053, How Could Anyone? It's in the Teal hymnal, and the words will appear behind me.
We'll sing this through 2 times.
So I have a prop for my reflection this morning. It's a handful of spoons. And what I love about these spoons is they make a lot of noise when I jangle them. Remember this because it will come up in my talk a little bit, but I love the imagery of the spoon. These spoons are different sizes. They do different things. And right now I have 4. That means I can maybe scoop four scoops of sugar for my tea. I could have a bowl of soup. I could serve somebody else some salad, and then maybe I would have a spoon for later. But I have 4 spoons. Oh, I did think of that too. So keep these spoons in mind. A few months ago, I was in a meeting, and a number of tasks and responsibilities were being delegated out to those gathered. It was an especially tiring time. The December holidays looming, and the burden and horror of current events weighing heavy on our hearts. Like many groups, there were leaders who participate in many parts of congregational life as reliable volunteers and organizers, the engines of our communities. As tasks were being delegated, a member of the team chimed in and said, "I don't have the spoons for this right now." My ears perked up. This was an opportunity for all of us in that meeting to tune into our individual needs, to listen to each other, and consider how we build community centering collective care. In the wake of that conversation, I wonder how many of us know the history of this imagery of spoons as it shows up in this phrasing. I don't have the spoons for that right now. And how important this imagery has been in the disability and chronic disease community in helping us share our experience and give language to our lives. The spoon theory was first explored in an essay in 2003 by writer and disability activist Christine Miserandino, who wrote an essay called The Spoon Theory. It was an attempt to describe to a friend what it felt like to be chronically sick. Christine talked about the impact of lupus on her body, the waves of illness and uncertainty, the fatigue and pain. And she was met with even greater curiosity. Then she gathered a bunch of spoons and gave them to her friend. She writes, "I asked her to count her spoons. She asked why, and I explained that when you're healthy, you expect to have a never-ending supply of spoons. But when you have to plan your day, you have to know exactly how many spoons you're starting with. It doesn't guarantee that you might not lose some along the way, but at least it helps you know where you are starting." Her friend counted out 12 spoons. She laughed, and then she said she wanted more. Christine said no, and that she knew right away that this little game would work when she looked disappointed and we hadn't even started yet. Spoons quickly became a helpful analogy for understanding how disabled and chronically ill people plan and manage their energy. It's a way of telling time, being mindfully connected to one's body and being in relationship to the world. In spoon theory, perhaps you use 1 spoon for getting up in the morning, 3 spoons to go to work, 2 spoons for a meeting, a spoon to plan lunch, and another to set the reminder to take another round of meds. Noticing how many spoons we have and how many we need helps us plan our lives, and it emphasizes personal agency, something that is so often erased from the lives of disabled and chronically ill people. As a type 1 diabetic, this analogy hits home, and it describes my experience navigating disease. It lifts the veil on my secret life, the one in which I carefully manage and balance a litany of demands that keep me alive while also trying to be a good minister, a good citizen, a good friend, a good family member, while also finding joy in creativity and in my spiritual life. The JDRF of Canada reports that type 1 diabetics engage over 300 decisions every day related to disease management. I have come to understand this as a decision lifestyle, one that keeps me alive, but it does have a cost. And for the most part, all of my choices are invisible. They disappear into the background of my life, and for a long time, I felt compelled to keep this part of my life private, even as I witnessed the gifts of my disease in my life and in my work, even as I relate to my being and body as holy and whole, even if medical teams or the wider world insist on a different reality. Then, this fall, I heard Reverend Keith Crone share with you that very few Unitarian Universalist clergy disclose their disabilities or chronic health conditions out of fear of discrimination. As I sat in the back pew during that talk, my heart sank and my blood pressure elevated. I realized, without me knowing, that I was one of the very few that chose to disclose my health status, that chose to have hard conversations sooner than later to dispel myths and misunderstandings. I do have past experiences in which my health status impacted my ability to get a job or to do things that make me happy. For example, I had to fight for my place in a chaplain residency program when confronted with an ill-informed nurse who refused to grant me medical clearance, suggesting that a type 1 diabetic was unfit to serve as a hospital chaplain. Such experiences are not uncommon. There is a public perception of people with chronic disease and disabilities as fragile, unreliable, unproductive, preoccupied, high risk, and an annoyance for their requests for reasonable accommodations. Disability and chronic disease is viewed almost exclusively as a liability and not as an asset, even in our liberatory Unitarian Universalist spaces. I know deep inside my broken pancreas and the chaos of autoimmune disease that I am a better minister because of my disease and my love of life and living. I'm also reminded that in the wider world, disabled and chronically ill bodies are a legitimate threat to power and racist, ableist paradigms of business as usual. I love Leah Lakshmi Peepsna Samara Sinha's question at the beginning of their book, The Future is Disabled. The question is this: what would a world radically shaped by disabled knowledge, culture, love, and connection be like? Have we ever imagined this? Not just as a cautionary tale or a scary story, but as a dream. I pose this question to you today, and I wonder how our faith of liberational love and transformation would contribute to this dream. How is disability justice reshaping the world, centering the knowledges, experiences, and the showing up of our faith commitments? One way I notice you living into this dream is by centering a culture of mutual care, by noticing, valuing, and paying attention to the spoons in the room. When we can pause and appreciate that our culture of doing is at odds with the culture of being in love, we live our commitment to interdependence. I hope that today is the start of an ongoing conversation, an ongoing commitment to centering disabled and chronically sick lives and delving into the theology and history emerging from disabled stories. Disability justice calls us to transform ableist culture as manifest in the physical artifacts of our spaces associated with particular kinds of bodies privileged as normal. And it also calls us to go deeper, to challenge capitalist culture, grind culture, modes of productivity that value profits over people, erasing the transformative power of people with disabilities and chronic illnesses to shape the future of justice. May we continue to widen the circle of love. May we be a place in which we can support each other as we manage our spoons. And may we be a place that welcomes all bodies as whole and holy. May it be so, and blessed be. Thanks. We're going to sing a great song. We're going to sing Answering the Call of Love. And this song used to be called Standing on the Side of Love. And then we knew better. And we noticed the ableism in the lyrics. And this song has a new day now.
And it was actually the composer of the song who was sort of taken aside, and a conversation was had. And Jason was like, oh, yeah, I didn't think of that. My bad. And so he actually reworded the song from Standing on the Side of Love to Answering the Call of Love. And I think by doing that, he did. He answered the call of love. So if you want to all join me, rise as you are able and willing, and we'll sing this together.
Beloveds, nourished in body and spirit, may the messages you receive today open your heart and deepen your longing for a world that embraces and has room for all of us. Go in peace.